Think about like the most powerful, influential person you know. Chances are they aren't the ones yelling the loudest, micromanaging every single detail, or just desperate for your approval.
Why, definitely not.
But, we live in a world that constantly tells us to hustle, right? To brand ourselves, seize control, and make absolutely sure everyone knows exactly what we're doing.
Oh yeah, the pressure is constant.
So why is it that the people with the most authentic power seem to do, the least?
That is the big question.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We are jumping into a truly fascinating analysis of some ancient Taoist philosophy today.
Yeah, specifically focusing on chapter 72 of Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching.
Exactly. And our goal today is to unpack this profound and honestly kind of mind-bending concept known as wu wei.
Which roughly translates to non-action.
Right. And we're going to explore how shedding our reliance on fear and, external institutions can completely revolutionize how you lead a team, how you parent your kids, and even how you build your own internal self-worth.
And the real beauty of this analysis is that it takes a philosophical text, one written literally thousands of years ago, and maps it directly onto the anxieties of the modern world.
Yeah, it's shockingly relevant.
It really is. It demonstrates that true power, like the kind that creates lasting impact rather than just temporary compliance, actually comes from stepping back.
Which goes against almost every single instinct we've been taught, right? Like in corporate management and modern social dynamics, we're told to lean in.
Exactly. But the analysis argues that before we can even begin to step back, we have to recognize the trap we're currently stuck in.
And the source material describes this trap as a pervasive cycle of fear.
Yes. Let's look at how the text actually defines that cycle, because it opens with a pretty striking observation about human behavior.
Yeah, hit me with the quote.
So the verse begins by stating, when people lose their awe of fear, they turn to religion. When they don't even trust themselves, they rely on state power.
Wow. That is a heavy, almost cynical way to view human civilization, isn't it?
It can definitely sound that way at first glance.
It sounds like it's saying the only reason we even have churches or governments is just because we're terrified.
Well, it requires looking through the specific lens of Taoism, which centers on something called naturalness.
Okay, naturalness. What does that mean in this context?
In this framework, every person has a personal Tao. Think of it as an internal compass, like an innate capacity to self-regulate, trust your intuition, and just navigate the world.
Right, like a built-in guidance system.
Exactly. But when we lose touch with that internal competence, the world suddenly feels incredibly overwhelming. We become, paralyzed by fear.
Because we don't trust ourselves to handle it anymore.
Precisely. And human psychology dictates that when we feel internally unmoored like that, we desperately seek external anchors to hold us steady.
Ah, I see.
So formal religion, in this specific philosophical context, is viewed as a shield we just throw up against the existential dread of the unknown.
And state power.
State power, the laws, the authorities, the dictatorial bosses, that becomes a necessary crutch because people feel fundamentally incapable of managing their own lives.
But wait, I have to push back a little here. Isn't relying on shared laws or like a shared moral framework just a required part of living in a cooperative society?
Sure.
Like, we can't all just run around operating entirely on our own individual compasses without any rules, right?
Yeah.
Is the text arguing that these institutions are inherently evil?
No, it's not saying that at all. It's pointing out a psychological dynamic of cause and effect.
Okay.
The text isn't some manifesto for pure anarchy. It's warning us about the motivation behind our reliance on these structures.
The motivation, so why we're using them.
Right. When a society or an individual uses these institutions primarily out of fear, those external rules replace internal wisdom.
Oh, that makes sense.
You stop asking yourself, what is the genuinely right thing to do?
Yeah.
And you start asking, what will I be punished for if I don't do it?
Right. So morality just becomes about avoiding trouble.
Exactly. And the more we lean on external authority to dictate our morality and our safety, the more our personal internal power just diminishes.
It's like a massive red flag signaling a total collapse of self-trust.
Yes. Beautifully put.
Think of it like wearing a heavy medical cast on your arm long after a broken bone has already healed.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Right. Like in the beginning, when the bone is actually shattered, the cast is totally necessary. It provides the structure that you lack.
You literally need it to heal.
Yeah. But if you keep wearing that cast for years out of this psychological fear of breaking the bone again, the muscle underneath just wastes away.
It atrophies.
It literally atrophies. By refusing to test your own strength, you essentially guarantee your own weakness.
That is exactly what the text is getting at. The external structure actively causes the internal capability to decay.
Wow.
Whether that structure is, an overbearing manager who demands a CC on every single email, or just some rigid societal expectation about the proper life path.
You just forget how to support your own weight.
Right. You forget how to make a decision without looking over your shoulder. And this brings us to the core problem Chapter 72 is trying to solve.
Okay, so if heavy reliance on dictatorial authority and, external validation is the disease, what is the cure?
How do we finally take the cast off?
Exactly. How do we take it off?
The source material highlights a seemingly paradoxical solution from the text. It says, therefore the sage steps back so as not to confuse the people.
Okay, but in a modern professional environment that practically worships leaning in, to taking charge, making your presence known.
Right, the whole hustle mindset.
Yeah. Stepping back sounds dangerously close to just giving up and walking away.
I know it sounds that way, but stepping back doesn't mean abandoning your responsibilities or running away from a crisis.
So what does it mean practically?
It means intentionally reducing your own ego in the situation.
Huh.
Consider a leader who operates like a dictator. They bark orders, they dictate every single process, and they demand that all decisions funnel right through them.
The classic micromanager.
Right. What happens to the psychology of the team working under that person?
Well, the team just stops thinking critically.
Exactly.
They realize their input doesn't matter anyway, so they just kind of shut down and wait to be handed their daily instructions.
They completely outsource their cognition to the boss.
Yeah, that's so true.
By stepping back, the sage, which we can read as a leader, a manager, or a parent, removes their own ego from the center of the room.
And what does that actually accomplish?
It allows the environment to follow what Taoism calls the natural order.
Okay, natural order. Let's define that.
Now, natural order isn't some mystical, magical force. It's just the inherent tendency of any group of humans to find a functioning equilibrium.
To figure things out.
Yes, to solve problems and to collaborate when they aren't being artificially choked by top-down anxiety.
Right.
And the text follows this up with an even deeper paradox. It says the sage teaches without lecturing, so the people have nothing to learn.
Okay, my brain just short-circuited a little bit.
It's a tough one to wrap your head around.
Teaches without lecturing, so they have nothing to learn? I mean, how on earth do you teach someone if there is nothing to learn?
This is the absolute essence of Wu Wei. Action through non-action.
Okay, walk me through it.
Teaching without lecturing means your primary tool of influence is your own state of being, not your words.
State of being, so leading by example.
More than just an example.
Yeah.
You lead by demonstrating deep competence and calm. And the second half, so the people have nothing to learn, that doesn't mean you want your team to just remain ignorant of facts or skills.
Yeah. You still want them to know how to do their job.
Of course. It means you are trying to help them abandon artificial, fabricated knowledge.
Fabricated knowledge? Like what?
Like stripping away their anxiety, their overthinking, and all those rigid, unnatural corporate rules that just stifle innovation.
Oh, I see.
You aren't adding more complex theories to their brains. You're actually removing the barriers that prevent them from accessing their own natural competence.
So it's a process of subtraction, really not addition.
Precisely.
Think about a high-level sports coach.
Okay, I like where this is going.
They spend the whole season running drills, right? Building stamina, establishing a solid baseline of skill. But when the actual championship game begins, the absolute worst thing that coach can do is pace the sidelines, just screaming instructions for every single pass or defensive maneuver.
Oh, absolutely. It ruins the flow.
Yeah. If they do that, the players stop looking at the field and they start looking at the sidelines.
They get completely distracted.
The players freeze. The best coaches, they cross their arms, they step back, and they let the team play the game they fundamentally already know how to play.
That is a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And honestly, the frantic screaming from the sidelines, that's almost always about the coach's inability to manage their own anxiety.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's rarely about what the players actually need in order to win. The coach just wants to feel vital to the process in real time.
Because their ego needs to be involved.
Exactly.
But, okay, if we move this from a sports analogy back into a modern office building, How does a manager practically implement this?
It's a challenge, for sure.
Because a manager still has to hit quarterly targets, you know? There's a really fine line between stepping back to empower a team and just being a completely absent, neglectful boss who lets everything fall apart.
Well, the source material addresses this transition from ancient theory to modern application beautifully.
Oh, good. What does it say?
The text includes a specific warning. Do not infringe on their living space. Do not disrupt their livelihood.
Okay, how does the analysis translate that?
In a modern professional context, it translates this directly as a strict mandate against micromanagement.
Makes sense.
To practice wu-wei at work, a leader must provide boundaries of privacy and genuinely grant autonomy. From a psychological standpoint, this is how you create psychological safety.
We hear the term psychological safety literally everywhere right now, usually in the context of like HR seminars.
Right, it's a huge buzzword.
But this text was pointing to the exact same neurobiological requirement thousands of years ago.
It's incredible, because the human brain simply cannot operate creatively when it feels threatened.
It just shuts down.
The source provides this fantastic contrast table comparing what it calls oppressive power to Tao power.
Okay, break that down for us.
Under oppressive power, a leader demands control of every step and monitors every single action. The result is a workforce that operates in a chronic state of fight or flight.
Just constantly stressed out.
Yes, they are fearful and suffocated. The leader might achieve a temporary artificial peace, meaning, no one is openly arguing, but it is met with profound underlying resistance.
Because you're just forcing compliance through pressure.
Exactly.
It's kind of like trying to hold a big beach ball underwater.
Oh, I love that imagery.
Like, as long as you are actively exerting force, pushing down on it, the ball stays down, and the water looks calm on the surface.
Or underneath.
But the tension is immense. The second you look away or just lose your grip, that ball is exploding out of the water.
Hitting you right in the face.
Exactly.
And that's why Tao power operates on entirely different physics.
How so?
The leader honors freedom and actually trusts the competence of the individuals. Now, this doesn't mean a lack of goals.
Right, you still have to hit targets.
It means focusing on the outcome rather than dictating the exact methodology of how to get there.
Letting them find their own way.
Yes. According to the analysis, this results in a relaxed environment where people can actually use their prefrontal cortex to solve problems.
Because they aren't in fight or flight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The peace is sustainable because it's generated from the inside out, rather than being forced from the top down.
That's a huge shift.
And crucially, the leader practicing Tao power does not try to look grand or important. They maintain deep humility.
Well, this introduces a massive dilemma, though, when it comes to our individual self-worth and how we navigate modern careers.
How do you mean?
We aren't just managing other people, right? We are managing our own egos.
Very true.
We exist in a hustle culture that absolutely demands we show off.
Oh, constantly.
We are told constantly to build our personal brand, to optimize our LinkedIn profiles, to make sure leadership sees every single accomplishment, and to just loudly narrate our own success.
The look at me economy.
Exactly. So if we practice Taoist humility and we step back, aren't we basically guaranteeing that we're going to be passed over for promotions?
It feels that way.
Like, how do we balance this ancient humility with the reality of, paying a mortgage?
It's a really profound tension, and it forces us to define what kind of success we are actually trying to build in our lives.
Okay.
The Taoist perspective would argue that if your entire career and self-worth depend on how loudly you can broadcast your achievements, your position is incredibly fragile.
Because you constantly have to feed the beast.
Right. It is just another form of the external crutch. You are relying on the algorithm or the audience's fleeting attention to validate your existence.
Wow. Yeah, that's true.
Genuine, undeniable competence operates differently.
Mm.
The wise, according to the text, know themselves completely.
Meaning they know what they're good at?
Yes, they understand their true strengths and their flaws without the filtered lens of social media. But they feel no desperation to show off.
Because the desperation itself is honestly the repellent.
Oh, absolutely.
When someone is constantly loudly branding themselves in a meeting or online, we intuitively sense that they are trying to convince themselves of their value just as much as they're trying to convince us.
It just reeks of insecurity.
It feels incredibly insecure, but quiet, self-assured competence acts entirely differently. I think it's the difference between being a megaphone and being a magnet.
Explain that.
A megaphone blasts noise in every direction. Right.
That's
Just demanding attention.
Making everyone cover their ears.
Yeah. But a magnet doesn't make a sound. It just sits there. But because of its inherent mass and alignment, it quietly pulls everything toward it.
That is spot on. People are naturally drawn to the magnet because it signals actual security.
Right.
In a world full of megaphones, someone who is quietly excellent and just doesn't need constant applause becomes a profound source of gravity in any organization.
They anchor the team.
They do. And this philosophy of letting go of the megaphone, of stepping back and trusting the natural order, it isn't limited to the boardroom or our career trajectories.
No.
The source analysis reveals that this is perhaps most critical and honestly most difficult in our private lives.
Okay, so this brings us to the home, the people we actually live with.
Yes. The analysis takes a concept of teaching without words and applies it directly to parenting.
Oh boy, the stakes just got higher.
They really did. Because the modern default for parenting is hyper-involvement.
Helicopter parenting.
We issue constant commands, we engineer every single hour of their schedules, and we try to artificially pave the road ahead of them so they never hit a bump.
Which is exhausting, it is.
The Taoist approach suggests that parents should focus less on barking instructions and far more on cultivating a calm, grounded state of being.
Which makes perfect sense when you look at the neurobiology of child development.
Right, how so?
Well, kids don't really listen to the words we say anyway. Their nervous systems physically sync up with our nervous systems.
Co-regulation.
Exactly, co-regulation. If a parent is frantic, anxious, and constantly hovering, the child's brain absorbs that anxiety as the baseline reality of the world.
Wow.
It doesn't matter how reassuring the parent's actual vocabulary might be. The kid feels the panic.
That is so powerful. Because a parent acts as a literal mirror for the child's internal state.
Right.
Teaching without words means being a role model of emotional regulation. When children do not feel constantly forced, micromanaged, or evaluated, they return to their natural curiosity.
They can just be kids.
They learn because the environment feels safe enough to explore, not because they are terrified of failing a parent's expectations.
That's a huge difference.
And the text broadens this to all intimate relationships, emphasizing the necessity of giving deep, unqualified freedom to the people we love.
So partners, too.
Yes. We are warned not to micromanage a partner's path
Right.
or suffocate their individuality.
See, it is so easy to talk about giving an employee autonomy over, like, a spreadsheet.
All right, low stakes.
But when it's your child or your spouse, I mean, if a junior employee fails on a project, it's a lost quarter or a missed deadline, we can step back from that.
It's manageable.
But if my child makes a massive mistake or my partner makes a decision that might actually hurt them, my heart breaks.
Of course.
Isn't practicing wu-wei infinitely harder at home simply because the emotional stakes are absolute?
It is exponentially harder. And that difficulty brings us right back to the very first verse we discussed.
The cycle of fear.
Yes, fear is the root of the need to control. Our deepest, most visceral terrors are tied to the safety and success of the people we love the most.
We just want them to be okay.
We micromanage our children's academic choices or hover over our partners because we are terrified of the unknown. We want to protect them. But the source material asks us to confront a very painful truth. Our fear-based control, disguised as love, is actually inflicting harm.
Ouch.
We are strapping that medical cast onto a perfectly healthy arm.
Because by trying to prevent them from ever falling, we prevent them from ever developing the internal balance required to stand back up.
Exact.
We're like a parent running alongside a kid on a bicycle, refusing to let go of the handlebars.
Oh, that's a perfect image.
Right. Like, as long as our hands are clamped rigidly on the bars, the bike can't naturally wobble.
And you need the wobble.
It do! If it can't wobble, the kid can't find their own equilibrium. We think we are keeping them safe, but we are actually ensuring that the second we aren't there, they're going to crash violently.
Because they have no idea how to balance on their own. We teach them to rely on us as their ultimate state power.
Oh, tying it back to the text. I like that.
We become the external crutch that prevents them from trusting their own internal compass.
Which is the opposite of what we actually want for them.
Right. Suffocating love inevitably breeds either deep resentment and conflict or a tragic, helpless dependency.
Neither of which is good.
Giving people the space to wobble, honoring their autonomy even when it utterly terrifies us, is the only mechanism that fosters a resilient, natural connection.
Man, so we have journeyed from ancient Chinese philosophy through modern corporate micromanagement, the anxieties of personal branding, and the neurobiology of parenting.
We covered a lot of ground.
We really did. When we look at all these applications together, what is the ultimate unifying goal of Chapter 72?
The unifying truth of this analysis is that fear is an entirely unsustainable foundation for any structure in human life.
It just crumbles.
You cannot govern a nation, manage a corporate team, or nurture a family through anxiety and control.
So what's the alternative?
True success, like the ultimate realization of the Tao, is engineering an environment where the people around you feel so deeply secure that they learn to trust their own hearts and minds. The goal is to help them completely shed their reliance on external authorities, which ultimately means shedding their reliance on you.
That is wild. The highest manifestation of leadership, whether you are a CEO, a mentor, or a parent, is when you step back so completely and so effectively that the people under your care look around at the incredible things they've accomplished and say, "We did this ourselves."
Yes.
They don't credit you. They barely even realize they were guided at all because you managed to completely remove your own ego from the equation.
You provided the safety, the space, and the quiet example, but the victory belongs entirely to them.
That requires a monumental shift in how we derive our own value, though.
Oh, absolutely.
If we are constantly seeking applause, looking for our team or our kids to constantly thank us and validate our importance, we can never truly step back.
We get in our own way.
We're too busy needing to be the hero of the story.
We have to locate our worth internally so that we don't have to extract it from the people we are supposed to be leading.
Well said. So, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought experiment. Something to just carry with you as you log into your next meeting or, sit down at the dinner table tonight. If the ultimate sign of your success is that the people around you eventually feel like they do not need you to guide them anymore, how does that alter the way you measure your legacy right now?
That's a great question.
Are you spending your energy building massive monuments to your own authority, making absolutely sure everyone knows how vital and important you are? Or are you quietly, almost invisibly, building unshakable confidence in the people around you so that one day they can stand completely on their own?